And we parsed and displayed details about the room, any room that was in here. Hi folks, Professor Machi. Wanted to show you the Cisco WebEx Teams API. And this is part of Cisco's DevNet program. And there's a particular lab here. I think it's Mission 05. I'll have a link to that down in the description below so that you can follow along as well. We're going to be using Python to make these API calls.
If you like my show, please subscribe to this channel. You want to see more videos? Click that like button.
So if you're ready to have some fun, let's get started. Welcome to your mission. Your objective here is to create a WebEx Teams room, add a user to the space and post messages into the space, and retrieve and display data from the space. Your Python script has been included. I believe the git clone is down at the bottom. But here's where you are. So you're under your code directory, DevNet Express code samples, LM4402, and then under 05 mission. Okay, so we're going to be using Python to accomplish all this. First thing what we are going to need to do is come down here to developer.webex.com, and we're going to need to grab our API key. So that's down here. Go out to documentation, come out here to APIs. Full API reference is fine, and maybe one of the first types of things here. Here it is. Here is your personal access token, so you can copy it out here. And notice that your personal access token is good for about 12 hours after logging into the site, and definitely should not be used in production apps. And then also too, check this out here too, we can use the web client for Teams right here too. So this one's mine. You can get one of yours as well at teams.webex.com. Okay, so if we just try to run the script right now, we're gonna get this. Just change directory into there, and then we can probably put this away. Let's see what we get here. Python WebEx Teams mission, and this is gonna be me, Prof. Machi here. Okay, so our first message right here is please check that variables, access token, room name, and your message have values assigned here. Okay, so access token, we're probably going to need to drop in our access token. Okay, cool. Rerun the script here. Room name, what do we want to call this? How about new room? Probably something like that. And then message, replace none with the message that you will post to the room. Hello and welcome. Probably something like that, right? Okay, clear. And then let's run this again. All right, so very interesting here. So we got a create room right here. Here is the JSON payload that was returned here. And as you can see, we got a new room that's right up here. Okay, so let's talk about JSON before we go any further. Now, this lab here is going to have you output JSON payloads, and that's fine for now. But I wanted to call some attention to this here. So as you can see, this payload here is great for a machine to read, but not so friendly for humans. But what we do have out on the internet are a bunch of free JSON viewers. So if we were to take something like this here, and notice in JSON that you're always going to start with a curly brace over here and then end with a curly brace down over here. So if we were to take something like this, copy it out, and then look for a free JSON viewer, like JSON view. As you could tell, I've been looking as well. But any of the free ones are totally fine. So if you want to get a visualization of this, here it is. So we just input the text here of all of this here. And then we get an idea of what it looks like when it's all out here in a human readable format. So check this out. Inside this JSON right here, we have the ID. Notice that's the key. And then the value follows right after. See, here's your title. This is a test right over here. The type is group. Is locked. If it's locked, nope, false. SIP address would be something like this. Last activity, that's your key, and then the values right here. Creator ID, whoever created it. And then when this room was also created. So let's take a look at another one here. So yeah, this will be a spoiler alert for your particular lab here. Copy out all of the text here in the JSON. See, and this was a result of our loop. And as you could tell in my particular room, and you're probably going to have something along the same lines here, you have room 0, room 1. So we got 2 rooms here. So this is under items. So it's JSON right here in the curly braces. And then under items here, we got 2 rooms here. So the first one, here's that new ID there. The title is new room, like we're gonna be doing. And check this out. The last activity, the creator ID, when it was created, here's the owner ID, right? So that's the first room. The second room is this. Under our JSON, we're just going to iterate over this with our for loop. And here's our web space for me. And then last activity was here. So yeah, these JSON viewers, it's totally free, and it's free for you too. Okay, so the first one was CreateRoom, huh? Replace none with code that parses JSON to assign room ID value to variable room ID. Okay, so that's right here. So that's if a room has not been created yet. So let's see what happens here if we go ahead and do a FindRoom here. Well, it looks like every time you run this, it creates a brand new room, and I'm not sure we want that. It looks to be in our code that if a room exists, and if true, that room, it returns the room ID. If not, creates a new room and then returns the room ID. So it looks like we have some work to do here. So how about we leave this room here, leave that space, same up here, leave that space. Okay, so for FindRoom here, for room in response items, replace none with code that parses JSON to assign room ID value to variable room ID. So that's this one down here. So how about we take this out, and then we want here, so room. Okay, we know that it's gonna be a string. So a string is gonna be in there, and for JSON here, it's key value pairs. So things like title, new room, type, group, or ID right there. So we know it's going to be a string, and then we also know it's going to be room. Okay, room ID value. Room ID value. So then that would be the ID that's right here. So let's look for then ID. Okay, good. So why don't we save here, rerun the script. Okay, that was CreateRoom. That's okay. So that was CreateRoom. That's down here. So let's rerun this again and see if FindRoom executes. So yes, FindRoom executes here. Okay, good. So then new room is out over here, and look, the message is filled out up here. Hello and welcome. So good. Create room here. Create room. Check if the room already exists, and if true, returns that room ID. If not, creates a new room and returns the room ID. So then for create room here, replace this none here with code that parses JSON to assign room ID value to variable room ID. And I think it's probably safe to say we can probably do that same string that's right there. And we're gonna do var here. So var here holds the response JSON. So within var there, within that response JSON, how about we look for the ID? Okay, and then we'll probably run that twice there. Okay, there's the create room. There's the add members, and that was the post message here. So since the new room exists here, why don't we see, okay, find room. There you go. Find room, and it returned that JSON payload here. Add members, and we already have a participant in the room there. So that's this one right up here. This is the test at test.com as a member in that particular room. Okay, that was out over here, view people. So we can remove that user from the space there. Let's see what happens. Okay, rerun. See, elections at test.com was added again, so good. Functionality is looking good now. Hello and welcome. So we're posting messages like crazy in here. Okay, there's the add new member. Okay, there's the post message to the room that's right here. Okay, so let's look at this one. Right code to retrieve and display details about the room. Okay, so we got that. Parse details about the room, and then here, mission, add call function, GetRoomInfo, header, room ID. Okay, I think we could do that. So that means coming out here, pretty straightforward, GetRoomInfo. GetRoomInfo will do the header there. And let's see, how about room ID? Okay, go ahead and clear that. Okay. Let's see, add function call, in function GetRoomInfo. Okay, so in function GetRoomInfo, that means you are coming up here to GetRoomInfo. The URI here, replace none in the URI variable with the WebEx Teams REST API call. So here's the URI, and we want to get room info, so then that should be out here for the documentation. Okay, documentation, WebEx APIs. Yeah, let's look for rooms here. Okay, and if we want to list our rooms here, it looks like it's this call. And then we could play around with this if we want to, of course. But let's just copy this piece out here. Okay, for the URI, go ahead and paste that in. And let's rerun. So remember, we got this out here. Please add the URI call. Let's see if it gets further. Okay, cool. So in function GetRoom, so now we are able to get our room info that's right there. Okay, our last portion here is to add code to parse and display details about the room. So that's under the GetRoomInfo right here. And it's going to be items. Okay, so items here. Why don't we get something like maybe the title that's down here? So it's going to be title, and then we know it's going to be the new room here. So it's the key and the value type here. So title, new room, and then maybe we can get last activity as well. And then let's just write some code here to do a loop. So why don't we try this? Okay, so this is that print statement right there. Why don't we do a for loop? So for val, yeah, we'll just declare val as the variable there. In response, response is up here, and this is in JSON. And it's going to be this payload that's right here. So in response, we are going to look for items. Just so that we see that this works, why don't we just print? Let's do val and print title. Okay, so the title is right down here, right? Title's right over there. And then let's also print out the last activity. It's going to be val, and how was this done? Last activity, that's right down there. We can really just paste this in. That'll be fine. Let's run this again and see if we get the code to parse details about the room. How about we clear that? Awesome. So here is the new room that was printed. Here is the last activity. And then check this out as well. We got the other room that's right down here, WebEx space for me. And then the last activity there. So since we have that, why don't we pretty this up a little bit? Okay, so we'll print that. How about we also do a new line that's right there? Okay, and for this, how about we give this a legend here as well? So right before that, we are going to do room name. Okay, so we're going to get the room name, we're going to print that string, and then we're going to include the title there. That's in the JSON that's up here. Okay, and then last active. Last active. Okay, cool. So let's do that. Rerun the code here. Cool. So here is that mission to add code to parse and display details about the room. Our first room that is up here is the new room. Last active was here. And then we also have the WebEx space. That's that one. And then last active for right there. Because I think in the particular lab, so I think in the lab here it says add code to parse and display details about the room, and they just do this one little thing. That's not really significant. We could do a lot better, and that's what we did. We did a lot better. Right? So we just did that. We just did the for loop, and that was also, I believe this was also something in the 04s as well, the coding Python. That was one of these here as well. So tell you what, let's rerun this whole thing from scratch. Okay, so we are going to take the members there, remove that member from the space. How about we even go one step further and leave the space? Let's do everything from scratch here. Okay, awesome. Let's make some space here. Okay, so we created the room, and here's the JSON in there. The name is new room. We added the member, test@test.com. We posted a message. We said hello and welcome. Added a function call here for GetRoomInfo. Here's the room info, and here's all the items that are in here. And we parsed and displayed details about the room, any room that was in here. So cool. Okay, I think that's going to do it for us. Let me know down in the comments below if you would like to see more content like this, and I would be more than happy to put some stuff together for you. Hope you enjoyed it.
Hope you enjoyed it. Bye. I'm gonna take a break.
Yeah, I think he said it best.